Hi there. I'm just laughing because that was a learning experience for me, thinking, well, I can go on YouTube Live and go on Facebook Live, and I can post in both places at the same time. In theory, that sounds like a great idea, but not going to work. Hi there. Happy Monday. And I just wanted to share something with you that a student and I had an exchange about this morning that I think is really important because my some of you know my story and my journey, and some of you don't, and that's okay. About 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and then 100 years ago, I started on this self-exploration. I'm the common denominator. Why are things so hard sometimes? And remembering back to my time in court reporting school, my times in different court reporting schools. I went through 3 schools. I probably, I don't know that I can count, dropped in and out of school 3 times. Um, wow. And they say statistically, well, if you drop out, you're never going to make it. Okay, well, hello. Not only did I make it, but wow, when I think back about my first school and walking through the door in like my first or second week, the owner of the school, I don't know who he thought he was impressing, but coming into our theory class and announcing to us that out of every 600, I remember these numbers like they were engraved in my brain, but at the time I didn't want to listen to them. For every 600 people who ever walk through that door, only 2 people will ever finish this program, and only one of them will be certified in the state of California. And my brain just went la 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 la. I don't want to hear whatever it was that man just said, because I just changed the trajectory of my whole life. And I'm going to do this thing if it kills me. And 2 years later, I would think, yeah, it's going to kill me. But oh my God, 2 out of 601 for the state of California. And here I am a billion years later. And I got out of school. Well, I went from that school, the Academy of Stenographic Arts in San Francisco. And then I transferred to Argonaut in Sacramento because it was free. It was state funded. And I was so worried that you get what you pay for, but you get what you get. If you work it, it works. Was what I learned all back then. And then I couldn't pass the qualifiers, so I read the fine print and took the RPR. And it was no good in California. So my brain said, okay, sure, go ahead, pass it. Who cares? Not going to do you any good in California. And the minute I passed the RPR, I started passing qualifiers because I didn't need them anymore. The pressure was off, not a big deal. So I didn't pass the CSR the first time, missed it by 5. Long story about that first test, but 7 of my errors, and this is the value in looking at your damn test, California CSR board. 7 of my errors were this and that. I didn't even know that was a problem until it hit me hard. 7, and only missed the test by 5. I would have passed. The mess in the middle of the test that I dropped and I was sure was the reason I wasn't going to pass was not the reason I did not pass. But I didn't pass. And so Oakland was closer than Sacramento to where I was living at the time. And they had a night program. So I transferred to the Oakland College of Court Reporting and went to their night classes to keep my speed up while I was working a crappy job during the day. So 3 schools, and at Argonaut, I had quit school and come back probably 2 or 3 times easily, at least. And I went through that same thing a lot of you guys are going through. I'm practicing, I'm doing all the stuff I'm supposed to do. I'm not getting the results I should be getting. And so I'd get disgusted, I'd get frustrated, I'd lose my motivation, I'd quit school for a while and go work and think, well, if I didn't have to work part-time, I could make better progress. So I'll work, save money, and go to school and hit it really hard with everything I got and just get out. And the last time I did that, it actually stuck. Um, and I got out of school, but then I didn't pass the damn California state test. So had to maintain my speed while still doing crappy job for another 18 months. Because back then they only gave the test twice a year. And I didn't pass the first one by 5. I didn't pass the second one by 2. And I had a speaker misidentification in there, which I'd never had in my life. Just blew me away. Third time I took the test, I had an ear infection. I flew to LA, checked into the hotel, woke up, and I had an ear infection that was so bad. I mean, it was one of those where the room is spinning. It sounds like, you know, your head is in a drum. And every time somebody says something, it just sends shivers down your spine and it echoes. And I thought, I paid for this test. I'm going to go sit in that test, and if nothing else, then to kind of do reconnaissance about, you know, how can I do the next test better when I don't have an ear infection. And I'm going to prove to myself that I wouldn't have passed this test anyway, which will kind of take a little bit of the pressure off of me. But I didn't care. I was not going to pass that test. I passed that test. I didn't think I passed that test. I just showed up, did the best I could, took what I could take. There wasn't a lot of anxiety because who cared? This wasn't the test I was going to pass, and I couldn't hear it anyway. So, you know, sitting in the back of the room with my machine plugged in the wall, it was really embarrassing. And feeling like, what did he say? What did he say? And I just kept writing, and I just kept writing, and I just kept writing, and I passed. And nobody was more surprised than me when I passed. But it's like, maybe they mixed up my paper with somebody else's. I didn't care. I was going to take it. This was my ticket out and into the real world. And the real world was quite different. Wow. Within 6 months, I mean, okay, you guys, this was like a billion years ago, 1979, when I finally was certified in California. But in the middle of 1980, I bought a house on an independent contractor's income. It was incredible when I look back how my life changed in those first 6 months, in that first year out working. And you'll hear some of the brave new reporters who are out there who are posting their experiences as they unfold in the field. And that's invaluable to those of you who are in school and your brains are thinking, well, we can't do that. That's a different world. That's scary. Follow these new people and watch them. And some of them are so transparent and open and brave about, excuse me, about what they're experiencing and how their lives are changing. And not the least of which is, you know, you do that first job and it's a tiny little job that paid more than the 2 weeks you just worked in your old crappy job. So if I was going to sum up everything that the court reporting journey and getting out and starting working and the frustrations and all of that came along with it, if I was to sum that up into one word, and it wouldn't be, actually wouldn't be a 4-letter word, surprisingly enough, but knowing what I know now, after 4 years, actually 5, if you include, you know, the hypnotherapy, hypnosis, neuro-linguistic programming, you know, coaching, mentoring, all those courses that I've taken, and neuroscience to boot, all of that, it's wonderful, it's useful, it's great information, but all of it boils down to one word, and that's awareness. Are you aware of how you're sabotaging yourself? Are you aware that you're talking negatively to yourself? Are you aware that you don't believe you're going to be able to do this? Are you aware of where you could make changes that would change the trajectory of your school experience? Are you aware not of what everybody else is doing, but what you're doing? Are you aware of the times that you say, oh, if we just pass that test, we're going to go celebrate. And then you pass the test. And then I know, because this was my thing, you pass the test and then you're afraid to celebrate. You're afraid. It's almost as if I get happy, the universe is going to hit me hard again. So I'm just going to pretend it didn't even happen. I'm going to go into the next speed and feel crappy about myself and start that whole cycle all over again. But you told yourself you were going to celebrate, and you need to celebrate, because the part of you that often will try to hold you back needs to know, see, its job is to keep you away from pain, and to guide you toward pleasure if it can, but mostly it's to keep you away from pain. Oh, I have another job starting soon. Imagine that. Wow. So when you pass a test, every tiny victory you get, you need to make a big friggin' deal out of it. Do something, even if it's just, walk down the street and get an ice cream. It's like something you don't usually do, but it doesn't have to be expensive. But to tell your brain, oh, we're celebrating because that test you just passed, that, oh, that makes you happy? And tell it, this is what makes me happy. So there's no confusion about it. I want more of this. Give me another one. Give me another one. I want more of this. This is what makes me happy. Because there is a part of your brain that will pay attention to that and try to, try to aim you toward that. The comfort of a job well done, of accomplishing the thing that part of you didn't think you could, and then easing into it and telling yourself, oh, this is so cool. It's not that yesterday I was totally competent and amazing because I passed the last of 3 tests I needed to get out of that speed. And you can think of it all kinds of different ways. It's perception, yes. It's also awareness. How is my mental attitude going into the next speed class? Because it could be, okay, now I'm in the higher speed, now I'm incompetent again, and every take you take will prove that to you. It's the evidence that once you create a belief, your brain will echo back, it'll look for evidence that that's true, and then hang on to it and show it to you. And so you need to switch up that inner dialogue when you get into a newer speed and say, this is so cool, because now I'm going into a speed that I'm not competent in yet, but that gives me some acclimation time in those first weeks to add some new briefs if I want to work on my software a little bit, if all the little stupid things that don't have anything to do with speed building, to ease in to that new speed. So before your brain knows it, you're in and you're practicing things, and yeah, they're not as good, but it's not a big switch, and so it's not a big deal. And then to not be afraid to say, I have a new goal speed and I got to do math again. Because if I was in the 100s and now I'm in the 120s, well, if I was practicing the way everybody says you should for speed building and hitting it 40 to 50 words per minute faster than my goal speed, so at 100, I should have been trying to hit 140 and 150. And by trying to hit, I don't mean like getting it, because you're not going to get it. You're not there yet, but you're pushing yourself, all parts of your neurology, your physical, mental, hearing, all of it, you're pushing it to the next level to ask it to look at what's coming down the line, so that it's becoming familiar before you're even there. And you're going to get faster at hearing things faster. You can only write as fast as you can hear. You're going to get to understand what it feels like to write that much faster. And so there are all kinds of things in the background that are happening when you push yourself that 40 to 50 words per minute faster than your goal speed. So now you're in 120 Do the math. Now you got to be practicing at some point during every single day consistently at 40 to 50 words per minute faster than 120. So we're looking at, 160, 170. And it's always going to feel out of reach. And I remember getting in the 200s and 225, trying to hit that last benchmark. And it was the first time it ever occurred to me that, oh, speed doesn't end at 225. Well, that's all I need to get out of school. Yeah, but there are people out there who are hitting 240. And I don't want to, I don't want to go pass a national speed champion test. That's not what my goal is. But I bet if I was practicing, if I didn't like it, but I could comfortably push myself to write 240 and get it, well, inherently that means that when I drop back down to 200, it's gettable. That's my cruising speed. If I'm pushing to 240, and if I'm pushing for 240, I got to be practicing at 280, 290. Pushing yourself will pull your accuracy along too. There are a lot of schools that tell you accuracy first. And I think me is going to tell you speed first. The accuracy will follow. And yeah, some people will say, but if I'm practicing at, 300 words a minute, I'm just going to get practiced at writing crappy. No, you're not. If you keep showing up every single day and writing at 300 words a minute, eventually, it's going to get better. It has to get better. And if you get better at 300, trust me, 240 is going to clean up along the way because it's going to become easier for you. When I first got out of school, I remember thinking, well, they told us, people talk at 180 words a minute, so 200 shouldn't be a big deal. Well, that's bullshit, because there are people out there who have spastic brains and just talk fast. And so you've got to be so confident in yourself that you know when to interrupt. And I had to do it today on a doctor's deposition. Say, excuse me, doctor, you need to slow down because first of all, there's an echo coming from your Zoom connection, but you're talking way too fast and you're reading records and you know what you're talking about. And frankly, I don't. So slow down. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm a merit writer. I have qualified and taken the national speed test a couple of times, often enough to know that for me, I want to put my time and my energy into working and making money and building a life. Not to say, but those are wonderful aspirations. There are a lot of you out there who are going for your RMR and then will be taking the national speed tests at the convention. And that's amazing. That's awesome. But everybody needs to develop their journey along the way that suits who they are and what's comfortable for them. And just because somebody else is doing it doesn't mean you have to, because to get the best results possible, no comparison, no judgment. This is your journey, just you. And if all you do is become more aware today of how you're allowing success to enter your life, how you're crafting your time to put your attention toward the things that you want to change in the 3D world, how you write or how you hear faster or whatever it is, becoming aware. My hypnosis teacher used to say, understanding is power. And understanding in hypnosis is the most amazing. Well, it is. Understanding with your conscious mind is power. It's directive. Understanding with your subconscious, meaning you've embodied it and embraced it and it's yours. That's where you're unstoppable, when all parts of you are on board for one common goal. And the awareness will help you get there because you become aware by deciding something, your conscious mind, and then you become more aware by allowing yourself to repeat that until it becomes a new part of you. They say that, you create your beliefs And we do. Beliefs are just thoughts. You've thought so many times that you've decided to believe them. And you can have good ones or you can have not so good ones. But we create our beliefs. And then our beliefs, even the ones we don't know about, create us. We are so powerful beyond our own imaginings. And I would not have known that had my life not derailed in 2017 and my whole everything except Steno came to a crashing halt. And I just had to figure out, what is this? Why do I think the way I do? Why does, I want this, but this happens. I want this, but that never happens. I can't get what I want. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I'm a nervous wreck. I'm anxious every single morning I wake up. I want this to stop. I can't live like this for the rest of my life. It doesn't matter how much money I make as a court reporter. It doesn't make up for that part of me that was just not happy, just not okay. It was a one-woman quest to figure out this stuff. And in figuring out this stuff, I figured out that, oh, I can become a clinical hypnotherapist and help students with test anxiety all at the same time. Imagine that, kind of a win-win. So here we are, and full circle, that's what brings me to you. That's what brings you here. Become aware. Really ask yourself to be brave enough to allow yourself to see some of the things that you haven't been able to see before, to look at something that looks like a challenge and reframe it and rename it and call it your friend and call it wow. When I get past that, I'm going to be able to look back and see how truly amazing I am, which I should be able to recognize now. But it's okay. These are steps along the journey, and you've stepped out into the journey. So finish it, because I swear to you, it's last man standing. Had I not been so tenaciously determined that I was going to get out and then decide if I didn't like it, I'd go do something else. I had no idea what that was. But I was not going to quit. I was not going to let this thing beat me. I was going to at least walk away knowing, well, I finished that. I did that. Now it's my decision what I want to do next. I was not the poster child in school for the person who was most likely to get out. In fact, quite the opposite. I had trouble reading back. I had trouble transcribing. I had trouble staying motivated. I had trouble getting up in the morning sometimes. I went through 3 solid months of such depression that it was just paralyzing when I had to switch schools and everything changed and my brain couldn't adjust to it. I just felt like I was just a freaking failure. And every place along the way where I was angry at, I'm doing so much effort and I'm not getting what I deserve, not understanding that things are changing in the background all the time. We don't always know what's changing. That's what faith is. It's believing in the thing that you don't have evidence of yet. The name of this game is Last Person Standing. I promise you, because I was last and I was standing. And 43, almost 44 years later, I'm still standing with my California CSR, with an RPR, with an RMR, with my RDR, doing real-time clean rough drafts, expedites, certified in 5 states, because I used to like to travel a lot. I thought, well, I've got them, I'll keep them. Some of them I worked hard for. If I can do this, anybody can. I love you guys. Take care. Have a great day. Be aware.